Hey, yo, what's up? This is Biggs, super producer from Greenville, Tennessee. You're listening to K-Town and Kim Style on Same Sex Dialogue. Check it out.
Are you ready? Sit down and turn off the TV because it's time for the Same Sex Dialogue podcast, where you'll hear the most entertaining discussions about gay topics, current events, and news. We bring you the very best of the LGBT community and its supporters. And guess what? Today we have a special guest just for you. Now here are your hosts, K-Town and the super sexy fashionista herself, Kim Style.
We're so glad to be here, and we are having a great time, aren't we, babe?
We are. We always have a great time, though.
Yeah, we're having a great time, guys. We do have a lot going on and a lot to tell you. Right now, let me go ahead and thank everybody for the podcast awards. If you actually voted for us, we appreciate that, and we do hope we win that. Kim's been bragging a little bit to Bearded Fruit. No shame.
There's no shame in my game.
She's been bragging a little bit to Bearded Fruit, but we just been teasing them, though. But
that's right.
We do hope we win it, and congratulations again to everybody that was in that category with us. Some great shows, and also we are going to be in Pride 48. They have it's a Pride 48 continuous broadcast that they have every year. Our show is actually going to be on the 19th at 3 o'clock, and we hope that you guys will join us for that. I will post a link on our Facebook page for that, but if you want to go to Pride 48, if you download TuneIn on Google, and I know that Apple has it as well. If you download that app, you will be able to tune into this weekend-long broadcast. It's some great podcasts on there. We are very, very grateful to be included in that lineup.
Are we going to be live?
Yeah, we're going to be live.
Oh, Lord, have mercy.
We're going to be live, so it's going to be wow. All right, so also, we have a interview with Gay News Radio. They actually interviewed us, and that's going to be coming out shortly.
Oh, yeah. That was fun.
Thank you, Brandon and Roddy, for having us on the show. We do appreciate that. We will I will try to get that up on our website. I don't know if I can do that or not, but I will try to do that so you guys can listen to that interview. Also, we were interviewed on Left of Straight radio with our friend Scott Fullerton, who was a great guy.
Yep.
And we were happy about that. And I will have the link for that. I'm not sure exactly when that's going to come out yet, so stay tuned, because we had a lot of fun on that show, didn't we, babe?
We did. Yes, we did. We love Scott.
Scott don't know what to do with it.
He doesn't. He's like, oh, wait, what did she say? Oh, Kim, I love that.
I love it. I love Scott. He's a great guy, and he's got a great show. Check that out. Let's see here. What else? Also, we're going to be giving thanks to some of our fans that listen to our show, and that will be coming up here in just a moment. But first, I want to chit-chat with Kim about our weekend.
Oh, my goodness.
Tell people about your weekend, babe, and how good you did this weekend.
Oh, okay. On my sports attempts. Okay, so most of you guys know that I don't play sports. I'm not even a spectator.
Usually you're not.
No,
that's
I'm
that's
not.
true. That's
I'm
true.
not. I'm
that's
like,
true.
you watch your football. I'm going to go shopping. Give me your credit card.
Yeah.
So, with my best friend, y'all have heard me talk about George, my best friend. He has a pool in his backyard, and he has Soul Sister Saturday Swim, and I go every Saturday. It's like 6 of us. We get together, and however, this Saturday we celebrated his birthday, and we were allowed to invite anyone we wanted to go. Yeah. Celebrate his birthday.
Right.
But I had been telling K-Town, we get together, and of course we have potluck, and we cook and we drink. I'm in charge of the champagne, imagine that. And
of course
K-Town went with me this time. However, before this, we play water volleyball every week.
Yeah.
And no one, let me repeat, I'll reiterate, no one wants me on their team. Ever. I'm the butt of everybody's joke when it comes to volleyball. And so I've been getting little pointers from K-Town. I'm like, what do I do? How do I hit the ball? I've never played sports before except for hula hoop.
You've been getting better, so I'll be quiet. I'll let you tell the story. So we've been
volleyballing here in our living room. Seriously.
Yeah, we've been playing volleyball.
She's been giving me little pointers. Well, this Saturday, I did so much better. You know what? I don't know if it's because of your pointers or that you were actually there watching me. I knew you were watching me, so I knew I had to do good. So I actually scored 3 points.
Is that why, honey?
Yeah, you were watching, so I knew I had to do good.
Oh, you know what? You did great, actually.
No, I didn't do great.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. You know what? From what you were telling me, you would hit the ball and it would go west. You'd hit the ball again and go east. You were hitting it on your fist.
Like with a fist. But my fist is not like normal fist. My fist, you have like 3-inch long acrylics.
So the ball was just going everywhere.
Oh, it was bad. But you taught me how to hit the ball. So I did so much. Even people are like, Kim, you score?
Yeah, you did good, honey. Well, you scored 3 back-to-back points.
I know.
Right out the gate. And
it's bringing out the...
what?
I don't know. Not the... I'm not athletic at all.
The what?
I don't know. It's making me want to be more... competitive.
Okay.
I could tell. I was like, oh, now I want to make more. I want to, just make more points.
Yeah.
I want to beat them now. Before this weekend, I was like, oh, this is fun. I hope I look pretty. Give me some sunscreen. Oh, what about my hat? Does my hair look good? Now, I want to win.
You were on it. You did good, honey. I was proud of you.
I did real good.
You were
I
doing
was
exactly what I had showed you to do. So.
How did I look from Did I look
from
good?
Afar?
Yeah, from afar. Because you were looking. I tried to get you on my team to really make me look good.
I was looking at your butt too.
K-Town.
I have to. It was there, and it looked good.
Well, I had the ball. I had on my bikini. He said, "Kim, you have 3 volleyballs." Meaning I had 1 in my hand and 2 on my chest.
Yeah, of course. George is a mess. You did great. I had a good time over there. We laughed so hard.
That was so much fun.
George, as usual, I said, fix me a drink.
Oh, God.
And I looked at his mom. I said, wait a minute. I said, I don't trust George.
As you shouldn't.
I don't trust George because he makes them taste really good, but they sneak up on you.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, it did the same thing, but I enjoyed it. I had a good time over there. All right, so we have a wonderful show for you today. We have Dr. Johnny Bowden, which Kim absolutely loves.
Yes.
He's a wonderful, wonderful nutrition master.
He has written 15 books. I could not wait to talk to this guy. Well, he does what I do just on a whole other level.
Right.
I'm just like a little pea in his pod. He owns the whole garden.
And he's funny too. He's a good guy. And so this is going to be a show that is going to be absolutely beneficial to your health. We are all concerned about that, of course. We're all trying to stay as healthy as we can. So we can't wait to bring him in and talk to him more about that. Also, give some thanks. So this week, we want to thank Samantha Adams-Apple, who is a local drag queen who supports our show. We do appreciate that. Thank you, Samantha. Also, Tanya Housel, Tammy Sims, Joanne Weaver, Nyla Rose, which we do know Nyla. Nyla, I think, is actually in Japan, is Kalina's fiance. Also, Matt Killingsworth. We do thank you very much. And Kim, you have some people as well you'd like to thank, don't you, babe?
Yes, I do. I have my little friend in New York, Andrew Michelson. Thank you for listening. Caitlin, Kate Fox, Christo Brown, Kyle Rowan, Rachel Reagan, personal friend of mine, Rhonda Gregg. Thank you all for listening and supporting and sharing and liking our page.
Yes.
Just thank you for your support from
Absolutely.
everybody.
Especially Andrew. Andrew has, he's part of the Be Out team, and he has became a friend to us. We talk to him all the time. He actually likes everything. We put on Facebook. We've talked to him over the phone. We're going to go to New York and hang out with Andrew.
I can't wait. This is going to be so much fun.
He don't know what he's gotten himself into.
Bless his heart.
All right. So now it's time for Kimqueery.
All right. My Kimqueery today is from Andrea, and it reads, my partner and I have stopped having sex, and someone else has sparked my interest.
Uh-oh.
What should I do? Thanks, Andrea. Andrea, let's see.
Oh.
You have a lot to think about. Okay. I don't know you personally, but if I did, this is probably what I would say if you were a friend of mine. You have a lot to think about. Seek professional. Seek professional help. No, really. Do you love your partner? And if so, you should talk to her and possibly maybe go to a doctor. You know what? That could be like a medical situation going on there.
Yeah, it could be. It could be that.
But you know what? There is a term for this, and it's called lesbian bed death, believe it or not.
Right.
It happens. Unfortunately, it happens to couples.
Yeah.
But you don't want to let that continue because it gets worse.
Yeah, it does get worse. So she should. I know it's not my question, honey.
That's okay, babe.
I was going to say that.
I know you've never experienced this.
Hell no.
And you're not going to about to right now. Did you like that grammar? You're not going to about to.
I love it. Yeah, I mean, it could be a medical condition, so she should find that out first. Or, if she's not in love, that's one thing that needs to be resolved. But
yes.
I would not, for a second, stay in a relationship like that, because
you know what, it's sad when there's one person in the relationship that's very sexual, and then the other one gets real comfortable, and they don't even try anymore.
Right.
But Andrea, if you can't fix it with your current lover, you're gonna have to move on. Yeah,
because that will never work. Well, I'll put it this way. Needs have to be met.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
So you can't continue on that way, because you're going to end up hurting each other. And also, the biggest thing to me is your time. You can't get your time back.
No.
Right? So,
no. So, I don't know how long this is. You didn't say how long it's been going on with you, but say it's been going on a year. What if it went on another year, and next thing you know, it's 15 years later, and you can't get those 15 years back.
Right.
So, listen.
You don't want to do that.
Bring it up to your lover. As hard as that is to talk about, you have to. And if she's not willing to fix it, it's time to move on. End of query. And if you have a query for Kim, go to kimqueery@gmail.com, and that is KIMQUEERY@gmail.com, and I will try to answer any and everything to the best of my knowledge, and I have to be totally honest.
Damn, you sound good saying that.
Send in anything you want to know, anything personal, anything about your life, and I will try to answer those the best I can, but I'm not a professional. However, I do have a little bit of experience.
I'm enjoying this. Send in some more sexual questions. I love it. All right, so we are looking forward to our next guest. Like I said, he is a phenomenal man. He's done a world of good for everybody when it comes to nutrition, educating yourself about that. And he's been on Dr. Oz. He's been on
CNN, CBS,
NBC.
Yep.
A little bit of everything. So we are so glad to welcome Dr.
Johnny Bowden. All right, we are here with our guest today, the nutrition myth buster. He is nationally known expert on weight loss, nutrition, and health. He is a board certified nutritionist with a master's degree in psychology and the author of 14 books on health, healing, food, longevity, including 3 bestsellers: The 150 Healthiest Food on Earth, Living Low Carb, and The Great Cholesterol Myth, co-author with Steven Sinatra, MD. Mm-hmm. We are happy to welcome Dr. Johnny Bowden.
All
Yay!
right.
Well, we finally got that horrible introduction out of the way. It's so good to be with you guys.
Hey.
Oh,
good
yeah.
to hear from you.
Our pleasure.
Yes.
Our pleasure.
Very much so. She's been talking about this ever since we actually confirmed you were coming on the show. So I've never heard the end of you since then.
Yes.
You must not get out there yet.
Dr. Johnny, I've been waiting all my life to talk to you.
You make me feel like Brad Pitt. That's so sweet. Thank you very much.
You're the Brad Pitt of nutrition and weight loss. How about that?
Thank you so much. It's really good to be with you, and I love busting myths, and I love reaching out to the community that you serve, and I love the work you've been doing, and it's really a pleasure to be with you.
Thank you, Dr. Johnny.
Yeah, we want you to know that we do appreciate you being on the show. We know you're extremely busy.
Yes.
You've been on Dr. Oz,
yes.
CBS, NBC. Yes. You've written a ton of books. How do you find time to do all of that?
And be on our podcast.
Poor Dr. Oz got a lot of flack for our appearance on well, because mainstream medicine really does fight a lot of the edgier stuff, and the natural medicine alternatives to pharmaceutical drugs, and they really get very attached to their positions about what causes obesity and what causes heart disease and the use of statin drugs. And, we take a pretty contrarian view on a lot of this stuff. And when we appear on shows like that, very often the medical establishment gets together and they write letters and then, why are you letting people like that? If they, I was the subject, myself and some other cholesterol skeptics, were the subject of a 2-part documentary that was produced by the Australian Broadcasting Network, which is the ABC, which is like the BBC or our PBS, very legit. And the reporter who did the show was a PhD in medical journalism, very smart lady. Did a 2-part thing about statin drugs, heart disease, cholesterol, the real causes of heart disease, and interviewed all of these people here in the States, such as myself and the cardiologist. I wrote The Great Cholesterol Myth with Dr. Stephen Sinatra and other people like that, including Harvard professors. Well, all of us took a rather dim view of the conventional treatment of heart disease, which is to put everybody on statin drugs to lower their cholesterol, which, as we say in the book, has very little to do with heart disease. And sure enough, the medical establishment in Australia wrote a protest letter saying that if people followed our advice, 31,000 people would die and all of these terrible things would happen. And they really created quite a controversy.
Right.
About this information. They are not fond of getting this information out to the mainstream. So, there's an uphill battle to take any kind of a contrarian position on, how people get fat and what kinds of foods are bad for us and what kinds of things cause heart disease. These are, pretty entrenched beliefs. And when you go against the grain with that, I remember this when we first started to say, hey, you know what, carbohydrates are not be-all and end-all of a healthy diet, and they're making people fat. Well, the protest you get on that one is pretty powerful, and because those are very entrenched interests, and they don't really want a lot of controversy about them.
Right.
Well, when you say carbohydrates, do you mean complex carbohydrates? I know you don't mean fruits and vegetables. Are you talking about, say, bread, rice, potatoes, sugary? And in your opinion, Dr. Johnny, do you feel that sugar is the culprit?
I feel very strongly that the number one demon in our diet, the number one element in the diet that we can really lay at the feet of diabetes, obesity, heart disease, and even, as it's turning out, cognitive impairment and Alzheimer's, that the number one demon in the diet is and always has been sugar. We were misled. It is not that. I always talk about this in terms of those cases you hear about sometimes when a guy's been in jail for like 30 years and all of a sudden they get new DNA evidence and they reopen the case and they say this guy wasn't even in the state where the murder was committed, and they exonerate them. Well, I think this is exactly what's happening with fat. We tried and convicted fat for the crime of causing heart disease and obesity, and we closed the case on it 20 years ago, except that all the research is saying we were wrong. It was never fat. That has never been the problem. The problem is that we're not getting the right fats and we're not eating enough of them. The problem in our diet has always been sugar and processed carbohydrates, which convert to sugar as quickly as you can snap your fingers.
Okay. Right. I did hear you talk about smart fat versus dumb fat. Can you explain what you were talking about there?
Sure. Well, that was the book. That was my most recent book. It's called Smart Fat, and in it we co-author Stephen Masley's a really good doctor. He's on PBS a lot. He and I wrote a book called Smart Fat, and we basically called for a redefinition of what good fat and bad fat mean. See, if you ask most people what good fat is, they'll say, oh, probably the vegetable stuff. And a lot of them maybe are sophisticated enough to know that fish oil is a good fat, but that's about the end of it.
Yeah.
You ask them what bad fat is, almost all of them will say what they've been taught for the last 40 years, which is bad fat is fat that comes from animals and saturated fat. Well, that's just not true. Okay. There is good fat and bad fat, but it does not break down according to whether or not it's saturated. Many saturated fats are really, really good for you. They're healthy, they're traditional, they perform a lot of functions in the body, and they shouldn't be avoided at all. Here's what we define as bad fat: toxic fat. Now, what's the difference between toxic fat and non-toxic fat? Well, let's look at the way we raise animals. Because all this information that's come down the pike over the years about not eating animal products, well, let's look at what those animal products really look like. In America, we raise cows on what's called factory feedlot farms. These are massive agribusinesses. They're nothing like family farms. I went to family farms on vacation when I was a kid. You see the cows, they're munching on pasture, they're grazing in the grass. That's not what a farm looks like at all in America. What they look like are huge agribusinesses in which each animal is kept in a tiny cage. They are fed grain, which is not their diet. You don't see them out there in the fields in the country eating grain. You see them eating grass. That's their natural diet. That's what their stomachs do well with. When you feed them grain, all of the pesticides that you spray the grain with wind up in their fat. Not only that, their stomachs get acid. So now they have to be given double dosages of antibiotics, which also winds up in their fat.
Right.
Then they have to be given steroids to fatten them up even more for market. So all of these toxins, these pesticides, these steroids, these hormones, these antibiotics are all in the meat and especially in the fat of animals that are raised on these farms. Now, it's not because they're animals, and it's not because it's saturated fat that it's bad. It's because it's containing all of this junk, this toxic waste dump of chemicals and hormones and steroids and antibiotics. Look, I live in Southern California. So a couple of years ago, we had an E. coli scare, and it was traced to some contaminated spinach. And all of a sudden, they recalled all the spinach. You couldn't even go to a Subway and put spinach on the sandwich because they had recalled it. But no health authority went on the air and said, don't eat spinach, it's a bad food. Everybody understood that the spinach had been contaminated. Well, the fat and meat of our animals has been contaminated. If you were to eat grass-fed buffalo, or if you were to eat wild caribou, there's no problem. There's nothing in their fat that's bad for you. What makes the fat of animal products bad is what we put in the animals, not what comes there naturally. So if I go to a farmer's market and they have grass-fed, pasture-raised cows that have not been given organic antibiotics, that have been eating organic food, that have not been given grain with sprays, and they say, do you want the low-fat kind, Mr. Brown? I say, no, give me the fattest kind you got, because there's nothing in there to be afraid of.
Yeah.
However, if I'm eating McDonald's, that's a whole different story.
Yeah.
Well, that brings me to my next question, and I've always been a milk lover, and you know, I've heard so many. I've heard, and I love cereal, but I just want to ask you about the milk. You know, is milk bad for you? Point blank. I mean, what are your thoughts on milk?
I'll tell you exactly what my thoughts are. They're very similar to my thoughts on what I just said about meat. When you get milk from those same poor, damaged cows that come from factory farms, it is filled with the same steroids, the same antibiotics, the same hormones that the meat and the fat have. In addition, it's pasteurized. It's heated to temperatures it should never be heated to. All of the good enzymes and other qualities of the natural raw milk are destroyed, and you're left with this kind of not very good for you substance. So I don't touch homogenized pasteurized milk. Now, if you happen to live in a state, such as I do, California, where you can still legally buy raw, unpasteurized milk, I can tell you that it is the most delicious milk you will ever taste. Most people don't have problems with it. All of the dairy industry propaganda about, you're going to get all kinds of bacteria infections. I've never seen that. Nobody who drinks raw milk has ever seen that. And, you know, raw milk is as different from homogenized pasteurized supermarket milk as grass-fed meat is from McDonald's. You really got to, it's always important when we ask, is meat good for you, is milk good for you, to make a distinction between really healthy animals that produce those foods and very toxic animals that produce those foods. That's the difference.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yes, it does.
Sure does. Absolutely.
It does. Do you recommend a vegetarian or a vegan diet?
Not. I don't. I recognize, you know, this is a battle we have a lot of times with our readers and people who attend lectures and stuff that I go to. I think there's two reasons. Let's start with the vegetarian one, because that's an easier one to answer. There are people who are vegetarians for two reasons. One is for health reasons, and the second is for love of animals reasons. We'll call them moral reasons, for want of another. You know, they just do not want to take the lives of sentient beings. They feel emotionally connected to them. They don't want to participate in that. And that argument can't be really argued with.
Yes.
That is an emotional feeling. I'll never try to talk somebody out of feeling that way. And if they can't bring themselves to eat an animal or to eat anything that was once alive, I understand the emotional feeling. If you tell me, however, that it's healthier to be a vegetarian, that I will argue with you. There's data on that. That we can actually look at. can't really argue people's religion. You can't argue their feelings. You can't argue their love for animals. God knows I am an animal lover. I do not like eating animals. I understand the feeling. And I think, unfortunately, though, that our biology is such that we actually do better as human beings with some animal products in our diet. There are some nutrition that we cannot get from plants. There's no B12 in plants. I don't care what the vegans say. There's no B12 in plants, none that's absorbable and usable. Very little iron, at least not the heme iron that you can actually use. Very little zinc. You know, there's a lot of stuff that you just cannot get without omega-3s, fish oil, the long-chain fatty acids that are so important to reduce inflammation and so many other things that they do. You can't really get those from plant foods. So I think an argument can be made that a vegetarian diet is not inherently healthier than a meat-eating diet, but you can't really argue with people who say, I just can't bring myself to eat something that was once alive, because that's a feeling.
Yeah,
and people are entitled to that feeling, and that's not something I want to argue people out of.
Yes.
But if you tell me that it's healthier, I'll argue with that.
Okay. I would like to talk to you a little bit about your book, the Cholesterol Myth Buster.
Sure.
I do have a friend/client that she's in her early 60s, very fit. She can hike 16 miles straight up, on the weekends. I train with her 5 times a week. She's actually my workout partner, in a great physical condition. Eats good 90% of the time. She does have hereditary high cholesterol. She has it checked, and she tries to watch everything she eats, but she always has that high number. And I did tell her that I was going to talk to you this Saturday. She goes, ask him about that. And is it dangerous? Should she watch that number? Should it come down? And if so, how?
Well, that's a great question, and I actually have a dear friend in my life who has a similar situation. She's one of the fittest people I know. She's never had heart disease. She doesn't have an ounce of body fat. She's in her 60s. She exercises every day. She's optimistic and joyous and connected to her friends. I think the chances of her having a heart attack are about the same as me being hit by a meteorite during the time that I'm talking to you on the phone. And her cholesterol hovers around 300.
Okay.
And her doctor continues to try to put her on a statin drug, and I say, change doctors. Why?
Right.
Yeah.
Why would you risk the side effects when there is absolutely no benefit that you're going to see from this? Now, that said, your client, Kim, might have a condition called familiar hypercholesterolemia. This is a genetic condition. It's inherited. It happens in less than 1% of the population, and it's insanely high cholesterol levels that cannot be controlled really by diet. And nobody really knows what causes it, and that's a special case. I would not presume to advise anyone with familiar hypercholesterolemia. That's something that the doctor really needs to look at. And hopefully it'll be an integrative doctor, someone who knows functional medicine, can look at nutrition, see if it's really a problem or not. But those are sky-high numbers that no one can do anything about, and they may have to be treated with medication. But for the vast majority of people, if you're someone like my friend who's got no risk factors, who's in their 60s, pushing 70, and by the way, high cholesterol is protective in older people.
Oh.
It's actually protective.
Okay.
A person like that, I don't think needs to be on a statin drug. Now, of course, I'm not a medical doctor, and I'm not treating these people, so, it would be unconscionable to give medical advice over the phone to people you don't know. But I would say, in general, I do not think that's much of a risk, especially when it goes over 200, which is, they keep dumbing down it used to be 240 was considered normal cholesterol. They keep dumbing it down because every time they make the normal amount lower, they immediately get like 11 million more patients for statin drugs. So I'm very untrustworthy.
Right.
I'm very untrusting of what this ideal number of cholesterol is. Plus, let me add this. We are not measuring cholesterol in the modern way. And we talked about this on Dr. Oz, and to his credit, he agreed with us. The old-fashioned test for cholesterol simply divides it into 2 categories, good and bad. Good cholesterol is HDL, bad cholesterol is LDL. That is absolutely obsolete.
Okay.
We now know there's 5 or more kinds of HDL and 5 or more kinds of LDL. There's LDL-A, there's LDL-B, there's HDL-2, there's HDL-2A and 2B. Lots of different subtypes of cholesterol. They don't all behave the same way.
Right.
All HDL isn't good. Most of it is, but not all. And certainly all LDL isn't bad. LDL-A is harmless. LDL-B, not so much. So there are now tests that tell you what kind of HDL you have, what kind of LDL you have. They're called the particle test. They actually tell you the size of the particles. This is the valuable cholesterol test. Unfortunately, most doctors are treating and prescribing based on this dumb old test that just says, oh, your LDL is high, Mr. Jones. On a statin drug you go.
Right.
And that's just bad medicine.
Okay. All right. Some more of my clients, especially my weight loss clients specifically, they see, and I know there's, when you eat, there's hormones released that make you feel full and satiated.
Yes.
Is there anything else out there that my clients and me that I can do to curb your appetite?
Yeah, well, you see, here's part of the problem with carbohydrates. They make you hungry for more.
Yes.
They are not satiating. They are not filling unless they're high in fiber, in which case they're not the kind of carbohydrates we're talking about.
Exactly.
High fiber carbohydrates are great.
Yes.
But we're talking about the cereals and the breads and the pastas and the rice and the potatoes and the sandwiches and the Triscuits and the crackers and the whole grain this and the whole grain that. This is like sugar. They're pure sugar. They turn into sugar in a heartbeat. And that causes your insulin to rise, and then it causes your blood sugar to drop, and it causes you to be more hungry. In fact, the best marketing slogan I ever heard of for food, which has turned out to be absolutely true, is bet you can't eat just one.
Yes.
And these foods are literally engineered so that you can't just eat one. They make you hungry for more of the same. So think about it. This is why it's so easy to sit there and go through 6 bowls of cereal while you're watching reruns of Friends, but nobody eats 6 steaks and 6 portions of Brussels sprouts. Because your body knows what to do with those foods, and they create a sense of fullness. They trigger the hormones that tell your brain, okay, we got enough nourishment, you can stop eating right now. But cereals and pastas and breads don't do that, so you continue to eat, you continue to stay hungry, and it becomes fiendishly difficult to lose weight.
Right.
Okay.
Is it true that some foods are addictive?
Yes.
Just
Was that a short and simple enough answer for you?
Yes.
Can you just enlighten us? Just tell us some of the things that are.
Give us your 3 top.
Yeah.
Well, look, here's the thing. They do real good experiments on this stuff. And they do it, and all you animal lovers, I'm not happy about it either, but this is what they do. They addict rats to different substances, such as cocaine. And they can measure addiction. Their measures of addiction, it's not like the rat's hanging out on a street corner saying, hey, where am I going to score some cocaine? How they measure addictive behavior is how much pain is this rat willing to go through to get more of the thing we just addicted them to. And when they addict a rat to a certain substance, they'll walk across a little electric grids, they'll take little electric shocks, they'll suffer all kinds of things to get to their drug, just like an addict. Well, guess what? When they do this with sugar, the rats act exactly the way they act with cocaine, only more so.
Wow.
Sugar is even more addictive than cocaine.
Oh, my goodness. Thank you for that. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Wow.
I personally take, and I have for a long time, chromium picolinate. Can you educate just a little bit? Am I wasting my time and money?
Not at all. I'll tell you exactly why.
Okay.
So here's how we get that. Well, there's a lot of reasons, and I'll have to come back many more times to fill this out because it's just too complex. And even the people who study obesity will tell you they've been studying it for 20 years and they don't understand all the factors. We're still finding out all the factors. Anybody who says it's all about too many calories and not exercising enough on the treadmill doesn't know what they're talking about. It's just an old model. We now know there's 100 different things, the microbiome, hormone disruptors, toxins in the environment, what they call obesogens, chemicals that actually cause you to gain more fat. So we know it's a very complex thing. But here's the basic thing that doesn't change. When you eat food, most foods, your blood sugar goes up. This causes the pancreas to release a hormone called insulin. Insulin's job, think of it as like a sugar wrangler. So what it does is goes through the bloodstream and it wrangles up all that excess sugar that's now in your bloodstream from the food you just ate, and it escorts that sugar into the muscle cells, where it can be used for energy. And that's a good system. So let's take a kid. a 5-year-old kid. He comes home from school, he eats an apple, he goes out to play, his blood sugar goes up a little from the apple. That's a good thing because he's going to go out and play on the bicycle, and he's going to play baseball and do whatever else kids did before they micromanaged play dates. And insulin is escorting that little bit of sugar into the muscle cells, which are very happy to have it because they're going to use it for the kid exercise. And then when the kid uses up that sugar, he gets a little hungry, blood sugar goes down a little, he comes home, he eats dinner. That's a normal metabolism. Now let's look what happens 30 years later. You wake up in the morning, you're stressed because you didn't sleep much, so your hormones are going nuts anyway. You're starving. You stop at the nearest coffee emporium. You pick up a 900-calorie, no-fat bran muffin that's nothing but sugar. Now your blood sugar is on the roof. Insulin it's just pumping out insulin saying, get this sugar down, because high blood sugar is very dangerous. So insulin is now rounding up all that excess sugar and taking it to the muscle cells. But guess what now? The muscle cells say, what do we want this for? This guy's going to go to work all day, play at the computer, and then he's going to get home and play with the clicker on his couch. We don't need any extra energy. Take that sugar somewhere else. And the muscle cells stop listening to it. Now you have a condition called insulin resistance. The muscles just aren't accepting any sugar. So insulin says, well, we got to get rid of the sugar. Where else? Well, who's going to take it? Oh, the fat cells love it. So they start shoveling it into the fat cells. And now you start to gain weight. And after you continue eating this way for another decade or so, even the fat cells won't take it, and now you've got high sugar and high insulin, and you're on your way to being diabetic. So the refusal of the cells to listen to insulin is at the core of gaining weight. Because if insulin can't get that sugar into the muscle cells, it's taking it to the fat cells. So what you want to do is help insulin do its job better, and you can do that several different ways. One is, don't eat so much sugar.
Yes.
Because then there won't be so much insulin.
Yes.
And the other thing that is helpful for insulin is chromium picolinate, because chromium is like insulin's little helper.
Okay.
So it will give you a little edge. It'll help insulin get into the muscle cells a little bit better so you won't need quite as much of it. However, if you continue to eat a high-sugar diet and you're taking chromium, it's probably not going to be enough to make a difference.
Okay. And I'm a firm believer that you can't just take a pill and go lay on the couch and eat bonbons. Definitely am. And is there, I've heard...
Chromium is, but the important thing to remember is chromium is insulin's little helper. And if insulin can't do its job, you get fat.
Okay, absolutely. Speaking of fat, is there such a thing called fat-storing hormone?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, can we talk about that?
Well, that's insulin.
That is insulin.
That is exactly what insulin is. It's nicknamed. It has two nicknames, and you'll love this.
Okay.
The two nicknames of insulin are, number one, the fat-storing hormone, and number two, the hunger hormone.
Yes.
Double whammy.
So many people, just in general, when they find out what I do for a living, they want to, there's so many different trends, Dr. Johnny. And, a big thing right now is juicing. You have juice bars, you have the juice box, and let me you can confirm if this is right, what I tell them or not. I tell them, don't use it as a weight loss technique. You can go get a juice if you need the nutrients. But just like anything else, when you stop juicing and go back to your old ways, you're going to gain your weight back. If you, because I will get a juice 3 to 4 times a week, but it's just for the nutrients. And so...
Yeah, your advice is absolutely right. Look, there's a couple things to say about juicing. First of all, there's two kinds of juicing.
Okay.
The first is when you buy those, they're often very delicious, or sometimes they're kind of bland if they don't use the sweeter things like apples and they just use, cucumbers and spinach, and they're kind of green juices. They're all good. But there's also the kind of juicing that's done in, say, a Vitamix, which keeps every drop of the food. It doesn't just extract the juice from the carrot. It keeps every drop. You put that carrot into the Vitamix, you're going to drink everything that was in that carrot. There's no pulp, there's nothing to throw out. So we got to be careful about which of those two we're talking about. When we're talking about the Vitamix, which basically pulverizes and turns to liquid anything you put in it, an avocado, carrot, spinach, green, any kind of vegetable or fruit that's put in there stays in there, and you add the water and it sort of liquefies. That's always nutritious, and you get all the fiber that comes with the juice. When you just drink the juice that you get at the supermarket, or at the juice bar, they throw all that pulp out, so you don't get as much fiber. You do, however, get a lot of nutrients.
Okay.
And you're absolutely right. It's not a good weight loss technique, but it's a great way to flood your body with the nutrients that are in fruits and vegetables. So I'm all for it.
Good. That's exactly what I tell everyone.
Yeah.
Yay.
I wanted to know what you actually think about black seed oil.
About which?
Black seed oil.
Black seed oil? I think you may have stumped me. I don't know what black seed
You gotta be
There's a
kidding
first
me.
time for everything.
Wow,
because we
unbelievable.
both take it. We both take black seed oil.
Well, please, you know what? Email me a picture of the label.
Okay.
And next time I come on, I will have looked into it and tell you, because I honestly do not know what that is.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yes, that's great. All right. Go ahead, Kim.
Well,
Go ahead.
I was just going to ask, in your opinion, because this is always a question out there, either in the gyms or anybody that works out.
Sure.
Cardio or weight training, which comes first in the gym?
Oh, you know what? I ever since I was a trainer, when I started my career in 1990 as a trainer at Equinox, we have been debating this question.
See, it's always out there. It's so funny.
It's been out there at least since 1990 when I entered the field. And I can tell you that, in my opinion, after 26 years of doing this, it doesn't matter a whoop.
Oh, really?
You will get people to argue back and forth, but what you have to understand, Kim, a lot of those arguments came out of the gym culture. They came out of the bodybuilding world, where people were trying to maximize muscle for contests, and they were trying to figure out just the way to not get too skinny, but to keep on their muscle and to burn up their fat. And these kinds of adjustments, should we work out in the morning? We used to have huge debates. Is it better to work out in the morning, or is it better to work out in the afternoon? Is it better to do your cardio first? Is it better to go to this gym or that gym? And my answer, honed over 20 years of looking at this, is what's better is what you actually do. The best gym is the one you go to.
That's exactly.
The best exercise is the one you actually do.
You know
what? There may be a tiny measurable difference on some metric.
Okay.
You were able to do a study that, all these people are identical to these other people in this other group, and we're going to put one group on cardio first and then weight training. We're going to put the other group on the opposite. You might get some tiny differences, but they don't really matter in the long run. Do whatever you like first. It doesn't really make a whoop of difference.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Let's see. Oh, gosh, I had a really good one. Oh, my. I'm just kidding.
I wanted to ask him. Let me ask him this.
Okay.
Omega-3 fatty acids, they say, they are great for us. Are fish really the best source to get that?
In my opinion, yes.
Okay.
And you specifically like sardines. I did hear you say that today.
Sardines, wild salmon, tuna. I think wild salmon is much preferable to farm-raised salmon for the same reasons that I think grass-fed meat is preferable to factory-farmed meat. Farmed salmon has a lot of PCBs. It's the salmon equivalent of factory-farmed meat. But wild salmon is a whole different ballgame, and it's loaded with all the good things that you want, the omega-3s, the antioxidants, the protein, and it doesn't have all of the stuff that they feed farmed-fed salmon as a side dish.
Okay. Well, also, a new thing now, what's new to me, I'm just now hearing about it. Of course, I don't train in the gym, so I'm not hearing all the trends lately. I do add collagen, a powdered collagen, to my shake in the mornings.
So funny that you mentioned that. I just wrote a full-length article on collagen for, who did I write it for? I think for Natural Solutions, and I've got another one coming out in Amazing Wellness. So I'm actually going to speak at the GNC conference on Monday in Dallas on the subject of collagen.
Okay.
So it's very funny that you asked me that.
That's
I'm a
great.
big fan of collagen.
So you are a big fan of ingesting it.
All three types of collagen every single day.
Oh, feels so good. Yes. Okay. Now, here, I did think I was doing good by doing that. But what do you think about bone broth?
Love it. Got it in my refrigerator. I'm a good friend of Dr. Kellyanne Petrucci, who wrote the bone broth diet and put that whole thing on the map. It's wonderful stuff, and it very much relates to collagen because there is collagen in the bone broth and gelatin, which is basically cooked collagen. Collagen is the most abundant protein in the body. It's what makes your connective tissue work. It's what makes your skin elastic. It's what makes Everything works together, and we lose it as we get older, and we dry up from the collagen, and that's when you see skin and wrinkled skin, and there's collagen in your joints that lubricate your joints. It's called type 2 collagen. And when you get less and less of this stuff, your joints start to ache, your skin starts to get dry. So I'm a big believer in collagen supplements. I'm a big fan.
Awesome.
That is great.
Thanks for confirming
Kim's very happy to hear that.
Yes, I am. It's like, I'm not wasting my money. Yay.
And by the way, let me just mention a couple of distinctions here. There's 3 types of collagen. Well, there's about 20 types, but there's 3 in the supplement world, and there's 3 that we need to know about. Type 1 and 3 basically are always found together, and they're for the thing to remember is they're for the skin. Type 2 is for the joints. Now, you need them all. I think you should take them all, but they really are different, so you want to know. Like, for example, if you go to GNC, you get Collagen Renew by Rest Vital. That's collagen 1 and 3, and it's great. That's why it's a little powder. I put it in my shake every morning. Okay. And you can also get their collagen 2, which is called, what do they call that? Collagen Enhance, which is all collagen 2, and that's a whole separate supplement, but that's for the joints. So I'm a big fan of the Rest Vital brand, the GNC, and the Restorage brand everywhere else, so the collagen supplements I use.
Okay. Well, and your skin looks great, might I add.
I actually do think that a part of that is due to the collagen.
And the bone broth is helpful also?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, bone broth is loaded with nutrients. Bone broth is great. All right. And the best book to read about that is Dr. Kellyanne Petrucci's book, The Bone Broth Diet, published by Rodale.
I will definitely get that. Now, can we talk about when we drink alcohol? I know that turns to pure sugar. Am I correct when it hits your stomach?
Yeah, alcohol is metabolized differently than other things in the body. What did you want? What specifically did you want to know about?
I wanted to know how bad it is, and does it turn to sugar, and is champagne included in that?
That's very funny.
Because that's what I drink every day.
That's very, very funny. I'll tell you my favorite alcohol story. Now,
okay.
I don't know. This is Left of Straight Radio. I'm pretty open about the fact that I have had a problem. I haven't had a drink since 1982.
Oh, nice.
So I'm not the person to, proselytize for alcohol. So for me, the whole question with the health benefits of alcohol is very simple. Does your brain process the word moderation? Mine does not.
Okay.
Mine does not. So there is no occasional drink for me.
Okay, I see.
Now, if your brain does process that, and you can truly have, a glass of wine a night or something like that, yeah, there's great things in alcohol.
Okay.
But let me give you my personal story about alcohol. This is a really good one. I love this. Back in the early 90s, I was training a woman who had been Penthouse Pet of the Year. And as you can imagine, she was very beautiful, and she had, the body of a Penthouse Pet. She'd gained a lot of weight. And she still was beautiful. She still stopped traffic, but she didn't look like the Penthouse Pet she looked like back in the 80s. And she had a bit of a belly and kept it very well, but she was certainly what you might say a beautiful woman, but little. Now, I didn't think she was overweight in a way that was problematic, but she did. She was not her fighting weight, if you will get my drift.
Yes.
So we tried everything. We tried interval training. We tried heavy weights. We tried light weights. We tried aerobic fitness. We tried, I probably went through the repertoire, and I was not as a student in nutrition. Then I started as a personal trainer, so I hadn't really studied nutrition in the early 90s the way I have since. But we tried whatever techniques we had available. Nothing worked on this girl. So I lose track of her. And about 5 years later, I run into her. And she looks like she looked back in the 80s.
Wow.
Her skin is glowing. Her muscles are showing. There's no belly there anymore. There's no need for a corset anymore. She's looking like she's 10 years younger. Mm-hmm. And I said to her, my mouth hung open. And I said, I said, okay, I'm thinking she's going to tell me some secret. And I'm going to take that secret to my client. I'm going to be the best trainer in New York City, and they're going to be lining up because I'm going to find out from this woman what she did that broke the code on her weight. Mm-hmm. So I say to her, with bated breath, what did you do? She said 3 words. I stopped drinking.
Wow.
Unbelievable. Wow.
That's my alcohol story.
Okay.
Understand. And I purposely didn't use any names, of course, on this, but she apparently was drinking a lot more than we realized.
Yeah.
And maybe had a little bit of a possible problem in overconsumption. But that's what alcohol can do.
Okay.
Make no mistake about it.
Yeah. I believe it. I wholeheartedly believe. My first personal.
I don't believe that's not necessarily going to happen if you're a moderate drinker and you have a glass of wine every night. No, that's going to have some resveratrol in it. It's going to be a relaxer, a disinhibitor. It's going to lower your cortisol. Those are all good things. But that's one of those tricky substances where the dose is in the poison. And if it tips into the area of too much, you can be in trouble.
Yeah.
On a lot of levels, including weight.
Right.
I will tell you, the first time I ever started working out, of course, I had a trainer because I didn't know what the heck I was doing.
Right.
And if we did anything, go to dinner with everybody from the gym, he would drink water. He would bring his own water in a glass bottle, and everybody else would be drinking, partying, have a good time. He'd be sitting there. He never drank ever. So yeah. Even champagne, Dr. Johnny?
Well, it's the alcohol. It's not the other. I mean, the other stuff. The good stuff in alcohol is generally from the grapes. That's what you give wine, and of course, if you use grapes for champagne, that would have some of that as well. But basically, I think what you're talking about is the alcohol content. And that,
correct.
Kind of can be a problem no matter whether it comes from beer, wine, vodka, whatever.
Right.
Okay.
Well, I got one last question to. Sure. I have one last question to actually ask you.
Please.
Can you give us your thoughts on gluten?
Yes. There is no need for gluten in the human diet.
Okay.
It simply makes things stick together so that it's possible to bake pizzas and breads and all of the other stuff, but human beings can't really break it down. Most of us, I would say the majority of people, don't have a significant and serious reaction to it. Here's the 2 things gluten can be: neutral or really bad. It's never good.
Okay.
It can be even neutral if you're lucky and you don't have a problem with it, but for most people it's an irritant. And for some people, it's a serious irritant that really causes inflammation. And for 1 in 133 people, it's death. Well, it's not death, but it's celiac disease, which is just a horrible, horrible reaction that makes it impossible to consume any gluten at all. So we range in our reaction from neutral, never from good, but from neutral to really, really bad. So, personally, I think the way to avoid gluten is to eat foods that were never had gluten in the first place. Gluten-free isn't a great compromise because what they do is they replace the gluten with all kinds of other junk that isn't much better for you. So, you get tapioca starch and potato starch and other high glycemic flours and starches that, replace the gluten, but they're no good for you either. So I really prefer a diet that doesn't have a lot of food that has gluten. Then, it's really easy to be gluten-free. Fruits, vegetables, grass-fed meat, wild salmon, lots of nuts, berries. There's never been gluten in any of those things, so you don't even have to worry about it.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
Right. Well, thank you for that. And we are so very, very pleased to have you on the show. We do want you to come back. You think you can do that for us?
Be back.
Oh, yay! We're so excited. You know what? I didn't get to half of my questions written down here.
But we're going to do them next time. But can I just do a shameless plug?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Don't feel bad about it. Go ahead. We're going to give you the floor. We're going to give you the floor.
It's all you.
Last year, I assembled 38 experts on metabolism and weight loss, and I interviewed them for what I called the Truth About Fat Loss Summit. And I put together this amazing summit. It was very successful. People loved it. And what I did is I put a VIP package together for your listeners, and I took 10 of my favorite interviews from that series. They are all free. You can download them on my website. Just go to the VIP package, put in your email. You get all 10 interviews plus a 15-minute talk I gave on motivation. And it's all free. It's on my website. Just go on there, look for the VIP package, and put your name in and take it and enjoy it.
Absolutely.
JohnnyBowden.com, JONNYBOWDEN.
Okay, awesome. I'll be on
Just
that tonight.
for our listeners. That is awesome.
Yeah, good. Thanks.
It makes me. I'm just gonna eat. I'm not gonna have any more champagne today, and I'm gonna eat some wild salmon.
No, but wait a minute. You want to be able to enjoy. Remember, food is not the thing that we need to be afraid of.
Right.
Food is a great pleasure. It's a great enjoyable thing. Even recreational drinking and recreational eating has a place in our lives because joy is the thing we're really looking for. And if you get some joy out of food, you don't want to be afraid of it. The thing to do is to try to 80-90% of the time eat the things that really nourish the human body, really give you energy, make you feel good, make you at your best. And don't worry about the 10% of the time that you relax and have a couple of glasses of champagne. It's not the end of the world at all.
Okay, all right. I also teach the 80-20 rule to all my clients.
There you go.
Yep.
I'm with you.
Yep. All right, good.
That's great.
What a pleasure.
All right,
Oh, my
so
gosh.
it's
Thank
been
you,
a
Dr.
great show,
Johnny.
guys. Please.
Thank you so much.
Hey,
You're
we
welcome.
appreciate it.
I hope everybody visits my website. And
Yes.
if you want to talk to me on Twitter, it's at Johnny Bowden. Just remember there's no H in Johnny. JONNYBOWDEN.
All right.
Great. So you guys go on over to his website and visit him at www.johnnybowden.com and blow up his Twitter page. He doesn't seem like he minds too much.
I'm on Facebook, Dr. Johnny Bowden on Facebook. Absolutely. Anyway,
right.
you guys, thank you so
That's
much,
great.
and I hope to be
Thank
back with
you.
you soon.
Thank you. I like to say before we go, I love you, honey.
I love you more.
See you next time, guys.
That's the end of our show. Don't you dare leave without going to iTunes to subscribe and leave us a 5-star review. Ciao, baby.